In the standard script of life, the grandfather years are supposed to be the season of reward. It's the time of spoiling kids, telling the old stories, and then handing the children back to their parents after they're all sugared up so you can enjoy the peace of your golden years. But for millions of men today, that script has been rewritten by circumstance, by crisis, or by a deep sense of duty. Instead of retirement, they are choosing the nursery. Instead of the golf course, they are at parent-teacher conferences. There's a unique kind of strength required to parent your grandchildren. It's called the second watch, a refusal to let the family line falter when the middle generation is struggling. It's a sacrifice of time, energy, and freedom, but it is also an incredible opportunity to apply a lifetime of wisdom to a brand new legacy. Today, we are talking about the grandfamilies, the men who are doing it all over again with more gray hairs, but also a much deeper perspective on what actually matters. We will explore all of this in just a moment, so don't go anywhere. This program is made possible by financial support from Smile Online Course and Books. Smile Online offers online courses for teens and young adults designed to help them master social and career skills. Subject matter includes customer service skills, job interviewing, electronic etiquette, and managing stress. More information is available at thefatherhoodchallenge.com. That's thefatherhoodchallenge.com.
Welcome to the Fatherhood Challenge, a movement to awaken and inspire fathers everywhere to take great pride in their role and to challenge society to understand how important fathers are to the stability and culture of their family's environment. Now, here's your host, Jonathan Guerrero.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode called Twice a Father. Joining us is Jerry Culver, a man who understands the grit and the grace required for this specific calling because he is on second watch, as we call it. Jerry, welcome to the Fatherhood Challenge.
Thank you. Glad I could be here.
So, Jerry, most grandparents get to be the fun guys, the ones who give the kids all the sugar and then send them home. When you step into that primary parenting role, you have to become the rule maker again. How do you navigate that transition without losing that unique magic of grandparenthood?
Well, there is definitely some changes there because you still have to be dad most of the time, and you have to set rules, boundaries, have discipline, those things that the dad takes care of. But you still want to make sure that you have fun with your kids. And a lot of that, you want, like my wife and I, we'd try to do a lot of fun things, take them places, do fun things, so that way we can still have the grandparenting part of having fun with the kids. But it is kind of difficult, especially my wife homeschools, so she's with the kids all the time. She gave up her job. She used to be a teacher, so she's qualified to take care of these kids. But she gave up her career and decided, that she wanted to take care of these kids full time and homeschool. But when the opportunity came, we did not hesitate. It wasn't much of a discussion when it came to the part where, are we going to adopt these children or not? We just couldn't let them go to foster care.
Often grandparents step in because of a crisis in the middle generation. How do you manage your own grief or frustration towards a situation like that while simultaneously providing a stable, joyful home for your grandchildren?
Most of that, I rely on my wife a lot. We've got a lot of support at our church. We have a really strong church family that helps us out a lot. It was kind of difficult there for a while because our daughter was caught up in her addictions and she was very unhealthy to be around. Not just unhealthy for the kids, but unhealthy for me because I myself am a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. So I've been clean and sober now for 23 years. And so when you've got people coming around that are, high or drunk, it, can trigger a relapse or, and I don't want that to happen. So I've got to watch out for my own sobriety. My wife never had a problem with that. So we had to be careful with how we handled things. Our daughter, I always made sure to let her know that, no matter what happens, your mother and I love you more than you could possibly imagine. But I can't go down that road with you. You've got, as long as you're going to do the drugs and that lifestyle, I can't go there with you. And I really don't want you around my kids. That was a hard one for her to swallow, because she always saw that as the kids are hers. But the courts, they're the ones that took away her parental rights. And then we adopted them, so they became my wife and I's kids, my kids. That was hard for her to deal with. The hardest parts about being a parent is showing that tough love and standing, just sticking to your guns. So we still let Amanda know, our daughter, that she was always loved, and if she could get it together, if she could just go to treatment and get clean and sober, I'd be happy to let her come and visit and start having a relationship with the children. Eventually, she was able to accomplish that. And so she now gets to see the kids on, a pretty regular basis. She's doing really good. She's had two kids since. She has a little girl, Mila, who's just a precious granddaughter. She's 3 years old. And then she's now have Ever here this last year. He's not quite a year old yet, but he's just adorable little boy. Very happy baby. And she's doing really good. She's with a good guy now that doesn't live that lifestyle. And that was the big deal, was she needed to change her playgrounds and her playmates. It's one of those things that, people don't put much stock in, but it's true. My wife and I, our marriage is God-centered. God is in the center of our marriage. There's so many things that I can't do. There's a lot of things my wife can't do, but God can. He really blesses us. He's blessed us tremendously, especially with these kids through the years. You got to get to a point where you can humble yourself and say, okay, God, I can't do this by myself. I need help. Please help me. And once you do that and you open your heart, then God can come in and do his miracles. And that's exactly what he does. My wife and I, we work with the kids on having a relationship with God. So we try to build that relationship with Jesus Christ on a daily basis. We have a morning devotion. They learn about, the Bible and stuff on, throughout the day. That's kind of sprinkled in their schoolwork. And then, of course, at night, we have a nightly devotion. It's kind of funny when they bring friends from the neighborhood over, because these guys, a lot of these kids, they don't have any kind of a spiritual relationship. And so they just think we're crazy. We just pray all the time, every drop of a hat, But but it's just natural for us. I mean, we pray all the time for different things. We bless the food before we eat, and when a problem comes up, we pray. If we're struggling with something, we just take a minute, pray about it. It gives you a chance to fall back and regroup.
One of the things I got to witness is when the two of them came into this church. I've always said, this comes from a former guest that was on many episodes back. His name is Chris Bruno. And Chris Bruno talks about the generational train, and that's more in reference to addictions. So when you have an addiction in your past, it's important to know, how far back does this go? How many generations deep does this cycle go? and what other addictions were part of that, and what were the factors that played into those addictions becoming addictions. What do they have to do with me? And then after that, you have an important decision to make, because you're on the train too if you have the addiction. So you have a decision. Your decision is keep riding or get off the train. The problem is, if you decide to get off the train does not stop just because you decide you want to get off. So follow that analogy. It's not a very comfortable thing to think about. If you get off a moving train, what happens? It hurts.
Yeah, you crash.
It hurts really, really, really bad. And so the most important thing is when you decide to jump off that train, and you finally do, and you land and you hit the ground and it hurts, the very first thing you might want to do is get right back up and chase after that train and get back on it, because it was more comfortable to stay on that train. So the most important thing that happens when you hit the ground is to look around you and see who's around you, who rushed to surround you when you hit the ground. That is one of the most important things that can happen to you. And I saw that happen with Amanda when she showed up here. The church just rallied around her. Everyone rallied around her. Everyone pulled her in like family. Everyone welcomed her. There was no judgment. And it was made very, very clear to her that everyone in this church has a past, and that's why we're all here. And that because of that, she is right at home. She's right where she belongs.
Yes. Love conquers all. That's
Yeah.
a corny statement, but it's the truth.
It's true.
And if you have people that love you and can nurture you and help you, and you know they're going to stand by you, it really makes a difference. Because if you're ever in a situation that's like that, and you end up you're all alone, or you feel like you're all alone, it really is different. It can be really scary, and instead of trying to make the changes that you should be making to improve your life, you end up falling back into those old ways of doing things, and you end up right back in the same mess you were in before.
Yeah.
Whereas with that positive influences, it keeps you going in a different direction, lets you make those changes you need to make in your life.
So let's be real. The knees and the energy levels aren't what they used to be 30 years ago. What are your tactical energy saving tips for any man in his 60s or 70s who's trying to keep up with a high energy toddler or a very moody teenager?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Planning is your best ally. You still want to have lots of activities for the kids to do so they can run around, keep them busy doing things, but still do, make a plan of going to some place where you can take part in it. There's this when they were younger, they were a whole lot more active than they are now, but there's this park in Waverly, and it has all kinds of different things to do, and we would just take them there and just let them run around. There's always kids there, other kids, so they could find somebody to play with. And so, yes, I would be running around until I'm like exhausted, and I'm like, okay, time out. I got to go over here and sit down for a minute. And then the kids, they just take off with these other kids and play and run around. And by the end of the day, it's time to go. They're exhausted. Half the time they'd sleep on the way home, and so they're done in. And that was, pretty much the whole point. We get home, everybody's tired. We get something to eat. We get, things ready for bed, and turn in for the night, So, but yeah, it's a lot of it comes down to, make a plan. And try to plan ahead as much as you can. Have a plan A, a plan B. Just try to always have like some alternative things in case there's a change somewhere, because change always happens.
The world is fundamentally different than it was when you raised your own kids. From social media to 24/7 news, what has been the steepest learning curve for you in protecting the hearts of your grandkids in this digital era?
Oh, that's an easy one. When we moved to Applington, we wanted to have, really good phones. So we got new smartphones. Of course, I'm not a tech guy. So it was difficult for me to figure out how to use this thing. And there's still a lot of stuff I don't even know how to do on a phone. Okay. My wife, she's not a tech person either. Okay. My kids, okay, they can grab it. I mean, even when we first got them and they were little, they could get in there and just do all kinds of things on our phones. We've got a tablet, computer, and they just were like naturally took to the technology. And so there was times when I pick up my phone and, oh, hey, everything on my phone has changed. My daughter had grabbed it and played a game. And then in doing so, she ended up changing the background, the whole layout of my phone. And so anyway, I had to figure out, how to change everything, get it to go back and everything. And then also one of the things we had to learn was we have to set limits on technology. They can have some phone time, whether it's play a video game or watch a video or whatever, but they're limited to 30 minutes a day, each one of them, and that's it. Sometimes it's hard to stick by your guns when they're going, oh, Dad, can I do this? Can I have some phone time? And they're just constantly bugging you for more, and you have to say, no, you've already used your time. So you have to stick by your guns on that. I know a lot of parents out there, they just they let their kids do just about anything on video games. They have these big gaming consoles hooked into their big screen TV, and they've got goggles and gloves and all this other stuff. My wife and I decided that we were not going to let our kids have all of that. Some people are going to think that this is cruel and unusual punishment, but we limit the kind of games that they have also. We, like Owen likes football, Madden. It's a football game. There's not a lot of, killing and violence and all that stuff. It's football, and he likes that game. So I don't have a problem with that. But some of these other games that are out there that, do have a lot of violence that their friends are playing, like Call of Duty. There's another one, I can't remember now. It's like Miami Vice or something like that. And it's pretty violent, pretty graphic stuff. And we just don't want our kids exposed to all that, because I think a lot of those games, they desensitize our kids to that kind of, to violence and immoral behavior.
Now that I'm taking over just real quick here, we also got to put into consideration of spiritualness too.
Right.
Because there's also other games out there that will be thrown in, like all like these mythical creatures and stuff that are very how do I put this? Exactly spiritual for what our beliefs are.
Right.
Like they'll be throwing in things like zombies and like these other weird mythical creatures that represent like demons and stuff. And that's also stuff that we gotta watch out for, and for games that we play.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Vampires, werewolves.
Yeah, all that stuff. Warlocks.
Yeah. Witches. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that our kids really shouldn't have exposure to. When they get older and they get on, adult age, and if they want to, get into that, that's a different story. But as far as kids go, I really don't think it's a good idea to expose them to all that stuff that's out there. It's just not a good influence. Like what we'll do is we have a book, and it just has stories from the Bible, and we'll sit around and I'll read a story sometimes the kids will read, and then we'll just talk about that story and how that pertains to, our family and today, because all those things in the Bible still are pertinent today, right now.
Your friends are likely talking about retirement cruises and golf while you're talking about homework. How do you find community and keep yourself from feeling isolated on the second watch?
Oh, it's really funny you asked that. Okay. I get looks all the time. People will see me with the kids and, they'll say, grandpa, and then they hear my kids call me dad, and they go, you're kind of old to be having kids, aren't you? And it's like, well, no, not really. But yeah, it's a lot easier than you think, though. I don't let a lot of the outside pressures from other people and what they think. My wife and I want to raise our kids as best as possible. We can still take part in all kinds of activities that other people our age are doing. It's just you've got to make sure to include the kids, because we're bringing kids, because we take them wherever we go pretty much. So we got to include them.
Many see kinship care as a rescue mission. Do you view this as an opportunity to fix the mistakes the first generation made, or is it a completely new building project? How do you keep the pressure of getting it right this time from overwhelming you?
There are things that have happened in my past. Like if you want to, there's things that have happened in our family too. It's like you can go way back. My grandparents on my mother's side, her father, her mom and dad, my mom, her side, her mom and dad got divorced. My grandpa there, he was a minor, and he was just a raging alcoholic. And so was my grandma on that side. She was an alcoholic. She died of cancer or cirrhosis of the liver. And my grandpa, he died of black lung because he was a coal miner. And but they were pretty violent, and that kind of got passed down to my mom. And my dad's side was very Christian, conservative type. There wasn't a lot of like drinking or anything like that on his side of the family, so that wasn't a problem on his side. But a lot of stuff got passed down to me when I was a kid, and I just decided, I says, look, I am not going to allow this to be passed down to another generation. I refuse to let this go. And I asked God to give me all the strength and wisdom possible to make sure that, those negative things are not passed on to these kids. I consider myself very lucky. My parents were very loving, caring parents, although there's some things they could have done better. But there's just certain things I wanted to make sure that my kids never have to worry about any of that stuff. And so I wanted to break those chains right from the get-go and then stick to that. And thank God he's given me the strength to persevere on those things.
Malachi speaks of turning the hearts of fathers to their children. In your case, it's the heart of the grandfather turned to the grandchild. How has this role changed your own relationship with God and your understanding of fatherhood?
Actually, it's a very humbling experience, because as a dad and as a grandfather, there's so many things you want to see your kids do. You want them to accomplish certain things just like anybody else. But there's things that your kids go through. Like our daughter, Jenna, she had a broken neck, and she had to have surgery. And that whole ordeal, it took a long time to go through, because they couldn't do the surgery at first because her bones were too small and they couldn't fix them until they got bigger. So we had to wait. Then eventually, when she got old enough to do the surgery, she went through the surgery just fine and everything. But, when you're in that hospital, it gives you a whole different perspective about, how you feel about your children. just a real quick little story here was when we first got to the hospital and they were going to do the surgery. They take your child and they've got to do all this pre-operative stuff. And so you say your goodbyes and stuff, and you let them know that you're going to be there. And then you go to a waiting room and you've got to wait. And there's this electronic tote board, and it has all the different operating rooms on it and how many hours it's going to take to do all these operations. But it doesn't have any names on it. It has a number. And I'm looking through and I'm like, wow, there's, some of these kids are in here for, some pretty extensive work. And I told my wife, I says, they've got kids that are going to be in the operating room, 4 and 5, 6 hours. And I said, there was one kid in there is going to be in there for over 8 hours. And so we prayed about that. And we prayed for these other kids. Well, later on, the gal came by and she told me, she goes, oh yeah, we're going to let you know what the number is, so you could keep track of your little girl on the tote board over here. And they gave us a number. Well, that number they gave us was the child that was going to be in surgery for over 8 hours. And so that really gives you a gut punch and gets you humble real fast. And we prayed. We prayed even more. Surgery went really well. We prayed for the surgeon and everybody that worked at the hospital there, and they were so great. Everything worked out great. She had to wear a full body brace for like 7 months after that, and then another 3 months she had to have a smaller neck brace that she wore. But she got through all of that like a champ. She was no problem getting through all of that. And today she's running around like any other kid. You wouldn't know she had a broken neck. But that's one of those things that just it's a life-changing thing. It changes everything.
For that man listening who feels exhausted, perhaps a little bit forgotten in his role, what is the first thing you want him to know about his value, the value of his presence in that child's life?
First and foremost, you're not alone, okay? No matter what happens, okay? You've got people that are out here just like you, going through the same stuff. Might be a little difference, but it's still the same. So you're not alone. And you also have Jesus Christ. Okay? He's there with you. And all you have to do is just ask for his help and he will help you. Just be there. You're not going to be perfect. Nobody's perfect, especially when it comes to raising kids. But just be there. Just show up, hang out, run around with them, play games, work with them on their homework. Just be there.
A massive, massive thank you to Jerry Culver for showing us that fatherhood doesn't end when the nest is empty. It simply evolves. Until next time, keep the watch, stay the course, and remember that a legacy is built one round two at a time. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fatherhood Challenge. If you would like to contact us, listen to other episodes, find any resource mentioned in this program, or find out more information about the Fatherhood Challenge, please visit thefatherhoodchallenge.com. That's thefatherhoodchallenge.com.